So, welcome to Jumbo IS and welcome to our lecture series called Daily News in Shorts. In this lecture series, we cover a particular day's current affairs in a short span of time within 30 minutes. The idea is that you get to cover your current affairs very quickly so that you're left with your entire day to cover other parts of UPSC syllabus. Okay? Now, just completing this lecture in 30 minutes would be job half done. Why? Because just after watching this lecture, you need to revise it as well. Why? Because revision helps in consolidating these current affairs in your memory. Otherwise, you'll quickly forget them. Now, you can revise these current affairs from the notes provided by us, and these notes shall be shared on our Telegram channel. The link to our Telegram channel is provided in the comment section below this video. You just have to click on that link. It'll take you to our Telegram channel, and from there you can download the notes for this lecture and do the necessary revision. All right, let's begin today's discussion. But first, let's take a look at the list of topics that we are going to cover today. Okay, so today we'll be focusing on 5 topics. Number 1 is Hague Service Commission. US SEC, Securities Exchange Commission, has recently pressed charges against Gautam Adani. So, this SEC has utilized Hague Service Convention, an international convention, to send notices to Gautam Adani, who is sitting in India. Okay, so what is this Hague Service Convention? We'll talk about this. Then, Amazon Web Services, AWS, has recently launched a prototype of a quantum computing chip. Microsoft has launched a quantum computing chip. Google has already launched a quantum computing chip. And now it's for Amazon. So what are quantum computing chips? We'll talk about this because through this, we'll also understand what is quantum computing. Okay. Then Ministry of Port, Shipping and Waterways, Union Ministry of Port, Shipping and Waterways has launched One Nation, One Port initiative. It will really revolutionize how port infrastructure in our country is managed. So we'll talk about this initiative. And along with this initiative, he also made certain other announcements. So we'll talk about those other announcements also. Then DRDO and Indian Navy test fired naval anti-ship missile short range. So we'll talk about this, quickly talk about this. And in the end, we'll talk about zero bacteria technology for water purification, which is going to be utilized for drinking water requirements of Bangalore. Okay, Bengaluru. So we'll talk about this technology. All right. So these are the 5 topics that we'll focus our attention on. So let's discuss them one by one. First, let's talk about Hague Service Convention. Okay. So the thing is that there were allegations made against Gautam Adani for bribing Indian officials for solar power projects. Okay. Now, along with Gautam Adani, there were some American companies also who were doing business with Gautam Adani. Now, American companies come under US SEC, Securities Exchange Commission. Now, by default, because Adani was doing business with them, so under US law, SEC can also send notices or press charges against Gautam Adani as well. Okay, so that is why last year SEC pressed, American Securities Exchange Commission pressed charges against Gautam Adani, and the allegations were that of bribery. Okay, the thing is that Gautam Adani is sitting in India, right? Now, SEC wants to send legal notices, summons to Gautam Adani. But Gautam Adani is sitting in India. So there should be a mechanism through which international legal notices can be sent from one authority of one country to the authority of another country. And for that, you need legal cooperation between different countries. So for that legal cooperation, there is Hague Service Convention. Okay, this is the issue. Clear? Now about Hague Service Convention, so it is officially called Convention on the Service Abroad of Judicial and Extrajudicial Documents in Civil or Commercial Matters, 1965. What happens is that through this convention, an authority in USA can send a legal notice to a central authority, which India will tell, which is our central authority under Hague Convention, to a central authority in India. Okay? And India will send that legal notice to the concerned party. So if USA wants to send a legal notice to this concerned party, in this case Gautam Adani, then it has to go through these proper channels. Okay, first inform central authority would pass over that notice to the concerned party. Now all of this is decided as per this convention, Hague Service Convention. Clear? It establishes a standardized process for serving judicial and extrajudicial documents in civil and commercial matters across international borders. Now, this entire convention is administered by Hague Conference on Private International Law, and currently this convention has 84 member countries. India is one of them, USA is one of them. Okay? You can only send a legal notice to that country which is a member of this convention. Had India not been a member of this convention, USA couldn't have sent this notice. Clear? Now, how it works, how this convention works. So first of all, we'll talk about applicability of this convention. Now, remember, this applies only to civil cases and commercial matters. Criminal cases are kept out of this purview. Okay. Now, it is applicable only when both the requesting and the receiving countries are signatories. Okay. It will be only applicable then. Since USA and India are both signatories, that's why it is applicable. Then every country shall designate a central authority. Okay. So communication between two countries would be through this central authority. In India's case, Ministry of Law is the central authority. That is why US SEC sent a notice to Ministry of Law. Clear? Now, a state can refuse service requests under Article 13 of this convention if they prove that this compromises their sovereignty and security. Okay. Once Ministry of Law has passed on that service notice, okay, then they have to give an acknowledgement certificate to USA, proof of service. Now, if the concerned party does not execute that notice within 6 months, then default judgment will be applied, and that power comes from Article 15. Now, you need to know what default judgment is. So, let's suppose in a court, there are two parties. So, there is a plaintiff who has leveled an allegation against another person. We'll call him defendant. Okay. Now, the plaintiff has said the defendant has done this thing wrong, so you need to decide the matter. So the court sends a summon to defendant. That summon asks them to appear to the court and prove yourself. If the defendant ignores that summon, then the court might rule in favor of plaintiff. That is default judgment. Clear? Now this may apply as per Article 15. So if Gautam Adani doesn't respond for 6 months, this might lead to default judgment, and this is permissible under this convention. Clear? So this is Hague Service Convention, and that's all the information that you need to know. Clear? Now let's talk about one of the biggest technological breakthrough, and some people say it is even bigger than AI, and that is quantum computing chips. Okay. Now to understand this news, you need to know about quantum computing. But to understand quantum computing, you need to understand what is computing. Okay. So all the computers in the world work on bits. Okay. Now what are bits? These are basically spaces. Okay. These are basically combinations of 0, 1. So these are dashes. Okay. And this dash can be either 0 or 1. 0 or 1. Okay. Now, if you want to send a message to a computer, the computer will break down that message in these bits. Clear? So 0, 1, 0, 1. So let's suppose there is a combination 0, 0, 0, 1, 1, 1, 0. This is a particular message, and so on and so forth. Okay. Now remember this thing, that 8 bits, 8 dashes forms 1 byte. Okay. 1000 bytes, close to 1000 bytes, form 1 kilobyte, KB. 1000 KB, approximately I'm saying, will form 1 MB, megabyte. 1000 MB will form 1 gigabyte. Sorry, yes, gigabyte. Okay, and 1000 gigabytes, terabyte, and so on and so forth. You must have heard this, that your hard disk, how much memory is there in your hard disk? The one will say 1 terabyte, 100 gigabytes, right? And what is the processing power of your computer? Well, they say 8 MB, 10 MB, 100 MB, so on and so forth. So the more number of bits a computer has, more is its computational power, more is its memory. All right. So how will you decide how powerful a computer is? Well, how much MB of processing power it has. If it has a GB worth of processing power, it will be very powerful. If it has a MB worth of processing power, it will be less powerful. Clear? Now the thing with these bits is, and I'm explaining this to you very quickly, okay? In brief, the thing with this is that let's suppose the 1 byte is equal to 8 spaces. Okay. Now different combinations of 0, 1, 0, 1 can come over here. Okay, it can be 0, 0, 1, 1, 1, 1. Clear? Now it is said that the number of combinations that are possible in 8 dashes or 8 bits is 2 to the power 8. If you have space worth 2 bytes, that means 16 spaces, then 2 to the power 16. So if 2 to the power 8 combinations are possible, then your computational power is high. If 2 to the 16 combinations are possible, then your computer can process information more. Okay. Similarly, the more bytes you have, more combinations are possible in your computer and more computational power. Clear? This is the basic. Now, the thing is that in quantum computers, instead of these dashes, in quantum computer also you have these dashes. Okay. But in normal computer, these dashes are called bits. In quantum computing, these dashes are called qubits. Okay. And what's so special about qubits? Well, a particular dash can be 0, can be 1, can be both 0 and 1 at the same time also. So this dash can have more values than 0 and 1. Can be 0, can be 1, can be any number between them, and can be 0, 1 at the same time. Okay. This principle is known as superposition. So one dash, one qubit can have multiple combinations apart from 0, 1 and can have same combination at the same time, 0, 1 at the same time. This is weird, but it can happen. Plus, the value of this qubit can depend on the value of this qubit. Okay, so these two qubits are related. This is known as entanglement. Now, these are the two principles that make qubits different from bits. And these two principles come from quantum physics or quantum mechanics that was discovered in the 20th century. So quantum mechanics have these two principles, superposition and entanglement, and using these two principles in computers, you create qubits. So now see the power of qubits. Qubits have more combinations. In bits, you had these many possibilities. In qubits, you have even more possibilities because one dash can have 0, can have 1, can have 0, 1 at the same time. So multiple combinations are possible. So with less number of qubits, you can generate more computational power because in one qubit, more combinations are possible. That is why it is said that quantum computers will require less hardware. But this less hardware would be more powerful, more computational power than normal computers. That is why research is going on in developing quantum computers. Okay. Now these quantum computers would run on chips. Okay. Microchips. So they have created, or researchers are creating quantum computing chips because these quantum computing chips will create more powerful quantum computers. So as of now, experimental chips have been created by Google, by Microsoft, and now recently, well, Amazon has created one. The name of this quantum computing chip is called Ocelot. Okay, this is what you need to know about quantum chips. So quantum chips are processors designed to execute computations by leveraging principles of quantum mechanics. And what are those principles? Superposition, that each dash can have multiple values at the same time, and entanglement. Two different dashes are related to each other. So unlike classical chips that use binary bits, quantum chips use qubits, which can exist in multiple states simultaneously, 0 and 1. Now, other examples of quantum chips, Majorna 1, which was created by Microsoft, Willow, which was created by Google, and Ocelot, which is now created by Amazon Web Services. Clear? Now, what are the benefits of quantum computing? First of all, what are the features of Ocelot? So, less hardware requirement. Okay, very simply put, I've told you that if one bit is so powerful, then you require less number of bits. So, less hardware and more computational power. By the way, Amazon has called its qubits as cat qubits. Okay, they are special qubits basically. Okay, and this cat basically comes from Schrodinger's cat. So Schrodinger was a person who conducted this hypothetical experiment which formed the basis of quantum mechanics. Okay, sometimes we say that it is because of Schrodinger that quantum mechanics came into being. So he was one of the founding members of quantum mechanics, and that is why quantum computing should acknowledge his contributions, and that is why Amazon called its qubits cat. Okay, the material used to create these chips was tantalum. Okay, and what is the end game of Amazon? To build a practical quantum computer with 1 lakh qubits. Generally, it was argued that if you want to build a very powerful quantum computer, well, you need at least 1 million qubits. But Amazon's cat qubits are even more powerful, and that is why they require even less hardware. So Amazon says that we will build a quantum computer that will be equally powerful as 1 million qubit computer, but we will require 1 lakh qubits, 100,000 qubits. Okay. Now, what is the advantage of quantum computing? Since quantum computing has better computational power, it will have better problem solving capabilities. AI operations would run better on these computers, enhance cybersecurity sustainability because there is requirement of less hardware, less electricity, and improve logistics capabilities again because of less requirement of hardware. Clear? Currently, quantum computers are at experimental stages, and these big tech giants, Google, Microsoft, Amazon, are working on them. All right, that's all you need to know as far as this topic is concerned. Now, let's move forward to One Nation, One Port initiative. So, the Union Ministry of Port, Shipping and Waterways announced a series of initiatives. One such initiative was One Nation, One Port process. Okay, now this initiative was launched for major ports in India. Okay, there are two types of ports in India: minor ports, major ports. Okay, as the name suggests, major ports are big ports and they are regulated by central government. Minor ports are small ports and they are regulated by state government. Okay, major international trade in India happens through major ports. Now, India has 13 major ports: Kandla port in Gujarat, Mumbai port, Jawaharlal Nehru port in Mumbai again, New Mangalore port, okay, Kochi port, Tuticorin in Tamil Nadu, Chennai, Ennore, Vishakhapatnam, Paradip port in Odisha, Kolkata port, and Andaman Nicobar port also. Okay, clear? Now, the problem is that all these ports have different processes, different procedures to handle material coming in and going out of them. Okay, now you want to make this entire process standardized and you want to use technology so that this material handling process at these ports is more efficient. So to standardize all the documentation, One Nation, One Port initiative has been launched. That means one type of documentation would be used in all these ports so that the exporters and importers don't have to maintain separate documents at different ports. An exporter or an importer might be getting material or shipping material through multiple ports. Now, for all these multiple ports, he has to maintain different documentations. Now, this is cumbersome. Okay, so to make this process efficient, well, you have created one set of documents. This is One Nation, One Port initiative. Clear? So it is a nationwide port standardization initiative designed to unify port documentation, streamline operations, and enhance global trade efficiency. So this will facilitate our importers and exporters. So our imports and exports would get boosted. So our global trade would get boosted. Okay. The step aims at removing inconsistencies in documentation, processes that lead to inefficiencies, delays at the port. Okay, sometimes exporters have to wait for so long because the documentation takes time before shipping the product. This basically causes delays and increases costs also. Now, this entire initiative is linked with PM Gati Shakti plan. PM Gati Shakti plan is basically India's infrastructure scheme to develop infrastructure in India. Okay, now ports are also part of infrastructure. Clear? And it was also in sync with national logistics policy. Now, for that, you need to understand this word logistics. Okay, look, goods are manufactured in factories. From factories, they are shipped to or transported to consumers. Now, this entire transportation or this entire journey goes through many processes. Okay, this factory produced good has to be transported to a wholesaler, then he stores that in a warehouse, then it has to be transported to a railway station where it will be shipped to a port, then it has to be handled in a port should have port should have proper warehouses, then it will be shipped through a port to the and to be exported, then it will reach the final consumer. Now, this entire set of processes between factory to consumer is known as logistics. And logistics services should be proper, because if your logistics services are not efficient, this would lead to time delays and cost overruns, increased costs also. Okay. That is why you need to invest in logistics infrastructure, which involves better port facilities, better warehousing facilities, better transportation facilities, all of this. All of this comes under logistics. Now, India wants to improve its logistics services, especially export related logistics services, because this would boost India's exports. And in that case, ports are an important component of overall logistics in India. That is why One Nation, One Port is aligned with national logistics policy. Clear? Apart from One Nation, One Port, other initiatives related to ports were launched. For example, Sagar Ankalan, Logistics Port Performance Index. So, under this index, different major ports will be assessed, they will be given a score, and rankings would be given. This would be known as Logistics Port Performance Index. So, they will be assessed on the basis of cargo handling, material handling, turnaround time. How much time does it take for a ship to come to a port, offload the material, then that material is processed by our import export authorities, taxation authorities, and then it is sent ahead. This is known as turnaround time. Berth idle time, ship berth day output, how many ships are basically processed from one berth. All of this actually give you an idea about the port performance. So this will be measured, score would be given, and ports would be ranked. So it will generate a healthy competition between these ports. Then government has launched Bharat Port Global Consortium. So it will bring together different stakeholders related to ports so that they can have discussions and come out with a good policy. So it will basically bring together India Ports Global Limited, which has the responsibility of operating the ports. Sagarmala Development Company, which has the responsibility of providing finance for port development. Indian Port Rail and Ropeway Corporation, which develops these ports, railways, and ropeways. So all these are brought together under this consortium. Then Maitri initiative has been launched and virtual trade corridor has been launched. This will take the entire procedures in a port online, digital. This will improve efficiency. Okay, so these were the initiatives that were launched. All right. Now let's talk about naval anti-ship missile short range. It is a very short news item. I just included this news item to just give you the name of this technology. Okay, that's all. This is a very insignificant news item. Only you need to remember this name. Clear? Okay. So DRDO and Indian Navy have successfully conducted flight trials of first of a kind naval anti-ship missile. Naval anti-ship missile used to destroy naval ships. NASM SR. SR stands for short range. And this missile uses man-in-loop technology. Now, what is man-in-loop technology? Basically, when you launch a missile, okay, it is launched and the target where it will hit is pre-programmed. You cannot change the target when the flight is midway. Okay, when the missile is in flight midway. Okay, but if your missile uses man-in-loop technology, then it will be fired and you can change its path midway also. This is known as man-in-loop technology. That's all. I basically included this news item because I want you to know this word, man in loop technology, and what does it mean. Because an MCQ might be asked from it. That's all. That's all you need to know from this news item. Okay? And we'll quickly move ahead. Zero bacteria technology for water purification. So, Bangalore Water Supply and Sewage Board is exploring the implementation of zero bacteria technology. It is a water purification technology and it was developed by Indian Institute of Science, Bangalore. Now, this technology uses four things: nanoparticle, silver nanoparticle coatings, ultraviolet irradiation, electrostatic filtration, and specialized filtration system. So, this entire technology toolkit has four sub technologies. Okay. Now, we'll talk about these four sub technologies. Okay. So, nanoparticle coatings or silver nanoparticles, they basically destroy the cell membrane of a bacteria. So, bacterial cell dies. So, this nanoparticle coating, silver nanoparticle coating, destroys bacterial cells. UV light irradiation destroys the DNA of the bacteria. So, the bacteria cannot reproduce. Electrostatic filtration basically collects these bacteria in one place, and specialized filtration system removes bacteria using fine pore filters. Okay, so it basically removes. It's like a sieve. Okay, so these are the four things that are used in this zero bacteria technology developed by Indian Institute of Science, Bangalore. Clear? Now, what would be its advantages? Bacterial elimination. It is a sustainable method of water purification. Why? Because it does not require that much energy. Not much electricity is used by these water treatment plants. Okay, and it's good for the environment as well. Clear? So these are the advantages. Very basic. And with that, we conclude today's session. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. I'm sure it has added value to your preparation, but it would add more value if you'll revise this lecture. So please do not forget to revise this lecture, because revision helps in consolidating these current affairs in your memory. On that note, I'll be signing off. Thank you so much, everyone.